Plaintiff Sandy Learhuber dated the defendant for over 8 years, and it was problematic from the start. Sandy claims the defendant eventually became physically abusive, and not even counseling could save the relationship. Sandy's suing her ex because she says he vandalized her property. Defendant Joseph Kendall says Sandy was violent and aggressive, and he called the police on her numerous times due to her behavior. Joseph claims Sandy once threatened him with a knife in front of his children, and he's countersuing for defamation and emotional distress.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
Well, Your Honor, Mr. Kendall and I had an 8.5-year problematic relationship. Ultimately, at some point, it ended
When did it turn bad?
Woo, way in the beginning.
Like first year?
When I was about 5 months pregnant with our daughter, he was out gambling.
Was that first year?
That was within the first, no, that was into the second year, actually. And things were getting worse and worse. And ultimately, January 1st of 2015, he had put hands on me. And at that point,
not true,
is absolutely true, Your Honor.
Me.
It was absolutely true, Your Honor.
He was abusive.
I had asked him at some point to help me take down the Christmas tree. I wanted to redo the house, you know, clean up, rearrange things, get things fresh for the new year, and he had agreed more than a week and a half before. We took down the tree. He said, I'm out of here, I gotta go, whatever he was gonna do, play golf, poker, whatever it was. Everything was always more important than family or anything like that. He never helped me. My 80-year-old dad would be out there cutting the grass, and he'd be sitting on the couch on the computer.
That's not true.
So that is absolutely true. And he never, ever, ever went out to go help him, not once. And when we had that
I gotta admit, I'm terrible with my hands. My wife won't even let me do anything with my hands.
I never laid a hand
over
on
the
this
course
woman.
of 37 years. She said,
In fact, she pulled out a knife
no twisting in light bulbs, no anything. If I cut the grass, it'll be uneven. Everything. I don't do anything. On the other hand, however, when she watches me walk out that door, 80% of the time, I'm coming back with some money.
Right.
Or a check. I ain't playing videos. I'm not going to hang with my boys.
Sure.
I'm getting a check, so I don't have to do anything with my hands because my wife says, just bring that check. Yeah. Just bring that check. I'll get a handyman. You just get that check. All right.
He didn't do that either. He spent 6 months at a time on the couch, you know. So
that's your 80-year-old father doing.
That's right. That's right, Your Honor. So we had a disagreement about it, you know, and then the violence happened. And then after that point, I was like, and it had already been a year and a half before that I was asking him to change his behavior, that if he didn't, he shouldn't be surprised if I started seeing someone else. To his face, I told him almost daily. And we at some point had gone to counseling, and we did try, and we did very well at that time. Then my mother died, and he freaked out. I don't know what happened. And then after that, he went back to his old ways. I begged and begged and begged to go to counseling again. We went for like a few, maybe a month at the most, and then the counselor fired us because he wouldn't do any of the stuff. That's absolutely true. And then we went to, so after the violence happened, he actually tackled me on the couch, bashed me in the face with his arm.
This is in January of 15?
January 1st, 2015.
You were attacking me.
I did no such thing. I didn't even touch you.
You threw pots at me. I had black eyes.
Let me get some background from him. What do you want to tell me background on the case?
In 2014, Your Honor, she pulled a knife out on me in front of my children.
Not true, Your Honor.
They had to run to they had to run to their room screaming, crying, and I had to go console them.
Why'd she do it?
She said that I was threatening her, but I did not threaten her.
Why do you think she did?
She was nagging me. She was giving me a hard time. I said to back off. And then she was like, oh, you're going to do something? And then she grabbed a knife.
Your Honor, he told me he was going to knock me the 4-letter expletive out.
I got it. Your description sounds more reasonable. Any other background you want to give me to respond to you being lazy?
Your Honor, this woman didn't work for 7 years. All I did was work and provide. I paid her bills, phone bill, cable bill, every bill.
Well, I was a homemaker when I was not working. And what happened, the reason I wasn't working was because I'd gotten hurt at work, and I was home and hurt, going through workers' comp.
Understandable.
Then my mother died. Then my father became sick, and I became his caregiver.
Understandable. What happened with the counseling? Sir, you all went to counseling a couple of stretches. What happened?
Your Honor, the counselor directed her to treat me with respect and kindness at any cost, and she would never follow any of those requests from the counselor. She was always aggressive, even violent, and
That's
like
not true.
I called the cops on her before, and she would flee the scene to not get arrested.
That's not true.
Yeah.
What'd you call the police on her for?
When she was attacking me.
I've never
the
attacked
knife?
him, Your Honor.
Yeah, well, no, another time on Father's Day, she attacked me.
And what was the result of that? Did the
She fled
police
the
ever
scene.
get
The
involved?
police
in
came
any
over
of
to the
these?
house, and they asked if I wanted to file a report, and she wasn't there, so they couldn't.
Do you have
They
a
couldn't
report,
proceed.
though? They can take a report.
I
Do you
didn't
have
file
any reports?
I didn't file a police report, but
Any? You did? All right. So you have no reports regarding
Not
these
from that time
incidents.
period.
Do you have any reports?
I absolutely do, Your Honor. Oh, wait,
Okay.
for the violence?
Yes.
For the,
police.
police reports-
Anytime the police were called, if they took a report, I want to read it.
I have for the incident that we're here for, and then I have
Let me see that damn
in
door,
our
the first one.
in our. I also filed a police report when he had grabbed me at our daughter's ballet recital. He put hands on me there because our daughter had asked.
At the event or
At the
inside
event,
the
inside the
venue?
facility, in front of
she got in
children
my
and
face and
parents.
put her finger right in my face.
And
In my
our daughter
face.
had asked.
And in her face.
She touched you?
Yes, Your Honor.
No,
she had
I
her
did
finger
not
just
touch him.
like 1 inch away
I
from
did
my
not
nose, saying,
touch him.
Hold
at
on.
all.
I just asked you if she touched you, and you said yes, Your Honor.
Well, it was
and now
right
you're
here.
saying 1 inch away.
1 inch away, Your Honor.
Yeah, but you immediately said yes, Your Honor. It's not funny.
Your Honor, I went
This
to
is
court
the
over this
domestic
report, and the
violence
judge
report.
threw it out.
But I want to see what you told the police in these cases. That's what I like to read. Let's get to the damaged property you're suing him for.
Okay. What happened was, at some point, I had told Mr. Kendall that I was going to start seeing other people,
You
and
told him every day.
I told him every day. But then I told him
at some point. Go
At
ahead.
some point, it was now I'm going to.
Okay.
And so I did, and he didn't like it. And the next day, he tried to hold me hostage in the house and not allow me to go to work.
I wasn't
Or
holding you
I was going.
How?
I said, let's separate our
He
stuff.
stood in front of the door and he wouldn't let me out the front door. And my daughter's little friend came and knocked on the door, and then when they knocked, he opened and I pushed through and I went out. I took the keys, I jumped in the truck. When I came out to the truck, I locked the door. He tried to jump on the back while I was driving away. And then I just sped off and went to work, went to where I was going, and then I went over to Mr. Hoff's residence at that time. At that time, we were just friends. We had been friends for 10 years or 12 years.
I don't believe that.
And I had left my phone at the house, and I wasn't going back for it because of his behavior. So he started sending text messages to Mr. Hoff's phone telling me to come outside and this and that. So I went outside and I said, oh, this is what happened today. He tried to hold me hostage and da-da-da-da-da-da. I said, I'm going to go talk to him, but, stay close. And so he did, and I went out and talked to him. He was very belligerent. He was very aggressive towards me, and he insisted that I was going to go with him and all this stuff. And all the times I'd asked him to go to counseling, he always told me, you go. And then he said, we're going to counseling now. And I said, no, you go, just like he told me. And he wouldn't leave, and he was getting louder and louder. It was like 11 o'clock at night or so. Mr. Hoff came out of the house and said, hey, listen, we got neighbors here, and you can't be out here shouting and acting crazy in front of my neighbors, and you got to go. And so finally, he left, and then he didn't feel comfortable with me going home at some point, and I just stayed there. I figured it'd be better, let him cool off, So he started sending messages to Mr. Hoff's phone saying, every minute that you're gone, it gets worse. You're going to be sorry that you did this, things along those lines. And then, so about 6:30 in the morning, we left. He came with me. We went to my house. He followed me. And all my belongings, my father's belongings, our daughter's belongings, some of his own belongings, our daughter's pictures, they were out laying in front of the house covered in cat litter and used cat litter with feces, and then hosed down and ground up, and he tore things up and he broke things. He took my mother's fine collectibles, and we couldn't find them for a while, and then he told me that he'd thrown them in the wash behind our house. They were broken, and she was deceased.
Your Honor, the night that she's talking about, I went to Mr. Hoff's residence, and I said, I want to just separate our stuff. So I want this over. I want to leave.
That's a lie. That's an absolute lie.
Let him finish.
Sorry.
Because I had been living there for months, for years, and she was going behind my back for I don't know how long.
Not true.
Sleeping with Mr. Hoff.
Never.
And
Never.
I went there that night because I got the phone records, and I saw that she was repeating the same number, and I got his residence through a Google search, and after that, I went there, and I wanted to leave. I wanted it over. So she didn't want to come with me. I went back to the house. I threw all her stuff outside, and I left. I soaked it with the hose. That was it. I was done.
And the cat box.
I don't recall that. There's a lot of cats in the neighborhood. It might have been one of them. I don't know.
They bring their litter with them, Your Honor.
You're supposed to burn it if you want to be like Angela Bassett.
But if she was so worried about-
tail, you have to burn it. She burned them in the car, I believe it was.
If she was so worried about this stuff, Your Honor, why did she wait over 3
Your
years to file this
counterclaim
case?
for $5,000 for defamation. How does she owe you?
Your Honor, she filed an ex parte to Chatsworth Court. I lost, through the investigation, I lost custody for 4 months.
For what?
She made false accusations that I was on drugs and that my wife was abusive.
Both of those things are
And
true.
That was her claim, yeah, but these are false accusations. I have a drug
Show
test.
me something that indicates why you lost custody. No, I don't want that.
Oh, why I lost custody?
lost
Yes,
custody
because you
because
say it was because of what
the
she said.
DCFS case she filed?
It's going to say what she said?
Yes.
All right, let's see it, please. I hope it does, because otherwise your case is over.
All right.
People hand me documents and say it says one thing and it says something different. That happens a lot, in fact.
filed it.
So this is supposed to tell me that she made the report against you
Yes.
and that you were exonerated.
Yes.
All right. This is, Dear Mr. Kendall, thank you for your cooperation during our investigation. Effective such and such, your referral has been closed by this department. The reason for this action is that the allegation of child neglect was inconclusive, not unfounded. There's also a box they could have put unfounded.
There is another, the final
and then
report.
actually,
It's unfounded.
and a safety plan. You can't speak out in the courtroom, ma'am. All right, now you said this would say she made those allegations. Show me her name or read her name. Does not say anything in reference to her. So, your counterclaim is dismissed because I saw nothing in reference to her name defaming you. $5,000, you admit to damaging her property. Yours is granted, yours is dismissed. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, he's just been, ever since that happened, the jealousy has spawned all kinds of spiteful behavior, and I just want it to stop for peace for our daughter. That's it.
You want to stop
Yeah.
filing all the
She
case.
wants to stop filing court cases against me. This is like the 8th one, so.
This is the 8th one, and she always normally, her case normally always been thrown out, but this time she won't.
So,
That's such a lie. That's why I won ex parte,
1
right?
out of 8.
Okay.